The Galactic Council's military inspection team materialized aboard the human vessel Defiant Dawn with their usual air of superiority. Commander Vexthal, a towering Creathian with crystalline skin that refracted the ship's harsh lighting, led the delegation. His species had dominated galactic warfare for 3 millennia, and he expected this inspection to be merely a formality. Another primitive species to catalog and condescend to. Lucia stood at attention in the cargo bay, her dark hair pulled back in a regulation bun, her expression unreadable. Beside her, Gale shifted his weight slightly. His jaw set in that way she recognized meant he was suppressing a smile. They'd been briefed extensively about this inspection, warned to be diplomatic, to not cause an incident. But diplomacy had never been humanity's strongest suit. These are your combat personnel. Vexthal's translator rendered his clicks and whistles into flat, dismissive standard. His multifaceted eyes scanned them from head to toe. They appear fragile. Appearances can be deceiving. Commander, Lucia replied evenly. The Creathian made a sound that might have been laughter. Behind him, a Yithran observer, a species resembling an upright mantis, chittered something to its companion. The inspection team numbered 7 in total, representing the Council's most formidable military powers. They moved through the bay like predators among prey. Gale watched them examine the human equipment with barely concealed contempt. A Draken, scales gleaming like polished obsidian, lifted one of the standard-issue rifles with 2 clawed fingers, as if it might contaminate him. "Projectile weapons," he hissed. "How quaint. My ancestors abandoned such primitive tools 10,000 years ago." "Your ancestors didn't fight on worlds with EMP storms," Gale said quietly, "or in environments where energy weapons cook off from atmospheric interference." The Draken dropped the rifle back onto the table with a clatter. Excuses for technological inadequacy. Vexthal approached the armor display, where a full combat rig hung suspended. Human tactical armor looked bulky compared to the sleek, form-fitting suits worn by most galactic species. It bristled with pouches, straps, and attachment points. The Creathian commander ran a crystalline finger along one of the many pockets. "Excessive," he declared. "Our armor is streamlined, efficient. This," he gestured dismissively, "this is cluttered. These protrusions would catch on obstacles. The weight distribution appears suboptimal." "It serves our needs," Lucia said. "Does it provide adequate protection?" A Kelnathi scientist, her translucent skin pulsing with bioluminescent curiosity, floated closer. "Our scans indicate the armor plating is relatively thin. The coverage seems incomplete. It's rated for most common threats." Gale offered to Vexthal, made that laugh sound again. "Most common threats. In true warfare, one must be prepared for all threats. This armor would fail against Creathian plasma lances within seconds, against Draken thermal rays, even against Yithran sonic disruptors." He shook his head, a gesture he'd learned from dealing with humans. "I had hoped for more from the species that claims to have fought wars for their entire recorded history." "We have," Lucia said, her voice hardening slightly. "Constantly. Then I failed to understand how you survived with such inadequate equipment." The commander turned away from the armor display. "Perhaps you simply fought against equally primitive opponents. Perhaps we should speak with your armorer," the Kelnathi scientist suggested, her tone more diplomatic. "To understand the design philosophy." Lucia nodded. "Gale, would you fetch Sergeant Kowalski?" Gale departed, returning moments later with a stocky woman whose hands were stained with gun oil and whose face bore the weathered look of someone who'd seen too many deployments. Sergeant Maria Kowalski had been armoring soldiers for 23 years. She took one look at the assembled aliens and crossed her arms. "What do they want to know?" "They have concerns about our armor's protective capabilities," Lucia explained carefully. Kowalski's eyebrow rose. "Protective capabilities? The armor appears insufficient," Vexthal interjected. "Too little coverage, too thin, too cluttered with unnecessary additions." The sergeant walked over to the display and patted one of the pouches affectionately. "This isn't armor," she said flatly. The inspection team exchanged glances. The Yithran chittered in confusion. Explanation required. "If not armor, what purpose does this equipment serve?" Kowalski grinned, and it wasn't a friendly expression. "It's extra pockets for more ammunition." Silence filled the cargo bay. "I do not understand," Vexthal said slowly. The plates. Kowalski tapped the ceramic inserts. Sure, they'll stop some rounds, some shrapnel. Might save your life, might not. But that's not really the point. The point is carrying capacity. She began pointing to different pouches. Magazines here, here, and here. Grenades here. Medical supplies. Water. More grenades. Backup ammunition. Sidearm magazines. Breaching charges. And more ammunition. You sacrifice protection for carrying capacity. The Draken's voice rose in disbelief. Protection's nice, Gale interjected. But ammunition wins fights. This is insane, the Draken hissed. You intentionally design your armor to be inadequate. Not inadequate, Lucia corrected. Purpose-built. Most species in the galaxy rely on superior armor because they assume they'll take hits. We prefer not to be there when the shots arrive. We move fast, hit hard, and we never, ever, run out of ammunition. Kowalski nodded. Our doctrine's simple. The best armor is not getting hit. The second best armor is making sure the other guy can't shoot back because he's dead. Vexthal's crystalline features somehow conveyed incredulity. And if you do get hit, then the fight was probably already over, Kowalski said with a shrug. But before I go down, I'll have put enough rounds downrange to make it count. That's what the pockets are for, Commander. Not for surviving, for winning. The Kelnathi scientist's bioluminescence flickered rapidly, indicating deep thought. This explains the human tactical doctrine we've observed. The aggressive maneuvers, the emphasis on overwhelming firepower, the acceptance of casualties that would be unthinkable to other species. We fight to win, Lucia said simply. Not to survive. There's a difference, the Yithrin asked. Gale smiled. And this time he didn't suppress it. That's what we've been trying to tell the galaxy. Vexthal stared at the armor for a long moment, then at the humans standing before him. For the first time in his 3 centuries of military service, the Creathian commander felt something unfamiliar, a cold tendril of doubt. Your species is either brilliantly unconventional or suicidally reckless, he finally said. Why not both? Kowalski replied, as the inspection team departed. Lucia caught Gale's eye. He was definitely smiling now. Think they understand? He asked quietly. They will, she replied. Eventually, when they see us fight. In the vastness of space, the Defiant Dawn continued its patrol, its crew carrying more ammunition than sense, more determination than fear, and absolutely convinced that pockets full of bullets beat armor plating every single time.